Namaste. Welcome. My name's Uma Dinsmore-Tuli, and these are instructions for the circle of flowing breath. It's welcoming the rhythmic breath cycle. And to do this practice, you just need to be able to sit or lie comfortably so that you don't really need to feel the need to move very much. And the reason for doing this practice really is to heighten an awareness of the natural rhythms and flow of the breath, and to invite that to be a little bit more expansive so that it's settling, it's nourishing, it's revitalizing, and it's also really very centering. So it's the basis, like the heart of all of yoga practice, whether you're actually using it as you move or whether you're using it for a meditational practice. And so I'm sharing this with you. It's kind of like the heart of all the yoga practices that I share and that many people share. You can read more about it, more technical detail in Yoni Shakti. But these instructions that I'm giving now give you extra tips and allow you to really breathe along with it. So the first thing to do is just to feel that you're comfortable. It can be really quite helpful with your hands just to either touch your thumb to your ring finger. This is the Prithvi mudra, it's the earthing mudra. It keeps it very grounded, rooted and centered. Or sometimes if you want to put your hands in your lap, you could just rest your left hand here on top of your right and let your thumbs touch. That's Bhairavi mudra, and that's quite centering and powerful. So whichever of these works best for you, or any other mudra, just so your hands are consciously placed. And you can allow yourself to yawn. So yawning is release the jaw. It's quite contagious. So if I'm yawning, you can yawn along with me, and you want to release the jaw and the throat. If you take really big yawns and really drop your jaw, like that, and you feel that as you settle back, your throat can be soft, and it's almost as if you feel you can kind of lean back. If you're lying down, you're really settled into a comfortable place, and you're breathing in this instance just through the nostrils. So you may want to blow your nose or check really how that's clear and free. And as you breathe easily through the nostrils, just let the teeth be a little bit apart. So you got a little gap between the top teeth and the bottom teeth, and you've got your lips very soft. It's quite nice just to release your lips in that way. A little bit like a horse. Let things be very soft. So your lips are soft, and your tongue, you've got a choice with the tongue. You can just let the tongue rest down in the floor of the mouth, so it's really just settled. Or some people quite like to take the tip of the tongue and just roll it a little bit up. So if that's your teeth, it's like your tongue could roll up under the inside of the upper teeth. And it may be that what you're doing is letting that tongue roll right the way up into towards the roof of the mouth, or at least where the gum and the teeth meet. And as you settle there, just find that your mouth is comfortable, your throat is soft, and you can easily breathe through the nostrils, and then you just watch. Okay? So what you're watching is when the breath goes out, just to the natural rhythm of the end of that breath, and then you watch it come back in. And as it comes back in, you're just welcoming the flow where you notice that breath is coming in. There might be a little pause when the breath is all the way in, and then you watch it turn, and you let it turn to go out. So as you're sitting with this, you're not forcing, you're not counting. You're not making the breath do anything at all. You're simply watching and welcoming the full circle of the breath. So I find it quite helpful to really sense that there is actually a complete circle with this, and that as the breath goes all the way out, you're kind of getting down towards the bottom of the circle, and there's a little pause, and then it comes all the way up, up to the very top of the circle. And that as the circle of breath moves around, you're able just to be consciously aware of where you are in that circle, all the way through, all the way around. So just take about 3 breaths now, easily, all the way out. And waiting for the breath to come in, all the way up. And waiting for the breath to go out. And the sense really is here that you welcome this rhythmic flow of the breath. You can close your eyes if that feels comfortable, or just gaze a little bit down. And as you breathe, you welcome the full circle of breath. You welcome the rhythm of the natural breath. And you start to welcome also the little pauses. They're really the transitional moments when all the breath has gone out, and you become aware of that point where the breath has gone right the way out. And just before you feel the need for it to come back in, you notice that point. And then there's a welcome for the breath that comes back in. And right up at the height of that inhalation, when all the breath is in, you can just notice the point where you really don't feel the need to exhale. But then you notice just when it does happen. So honouring the transitional moments. And there is no real complete stillness within it, because there's always this little pulse, this little movement of energy and awareness with the breath. And I'd invite you just to be with that in a welcoming sense, welcoming the inhale, welcoming the place at the end of the inhale, welcoming the place just before the breath turns to go out, welcoming the exhale, welcoming the place at the end of the exhale when all the breath has gone out, just before it comes back in again. All of these places, all of these parts of the breath, this full circle of breath, flowing rhythmically, welcoming all these elements in every breath. And observing what arises and letting that lead simply to insight at every moment. And you're learning simply to observe and to be with this breath. And to notice that every breath that unfolds is like just the same as the others, because it has those same components in it, but every breath is different, because each time you're bringing a different observation, it's at a different moment. And that's really all we need to learn. So we're going to finish just by sitting quietly, observing, noticing, and noticing this full and complete cycle. And it can be really helpful. Bring a special attention to the exact turning points between the very end of the exhale and the place where the breath comes in, and the very end of the inhale, wherever that is, just before the breath starts to go out. And one of the useful little tips about this is to be aware, if you're simply watching, you'll probably notice that some breaths are longer than others. Some breaths are shorter, sometimes the rhythm changes, but you're kind of inviting a sense of welcome and balance in the breath. And that in itself is the heart of the kind of centered, observing space that you can bring to all of your yoga practice. Okay. So once we finish these last few breaths, then this instruction will come to an end, but you can continue to take that awareness into all of your breaths, as if bringing it into every breath that we take, so that conscious awareness is there in every breath. So the final tip really with it is part of the welcome we can make for the breath is just a sense of really opening up to what can come in. So you can even have a little sense that the nostrils just open up a little more. And then you can feel how far deeply in the breath comes, and then you can feel how far it travels out in this more welcoming sense of the nostrils being a little bit more open, and even having a sense after a few rounds that the lungs are a little bit more open and welcome to the breath. So that might be something to practice with. And then there are other things we can do. Once we've got this breath, really this awareness settled, then there are many other practices that we can do, including in working with Ujjayi or the golden thread, or combinations of those. So they unfold in other little teaching videos that are all gathered together here, and this is the end of this one. But carry that breath awareness with you now, perhaps as you go about your daily business. Thank you.